When I was a kid, my grandpa's cabin always felt like a place out of time, tucked deep in the woods. It was silent, peaceful, and isolated. It smelled of old pine, dust, and pipe tobacco. That place isn't for you. Once, I tried sneaking down there while he was asleep. I had just stepped on the first stair when he snapped awake and shouted my name. He wasn't angry, he was scared. I used to visit him every summer. He'd sit on the porch with his old radio, sipping black coffee and staring into the trees like he was watching something I couldn't see. He never let me go near the basement. I was curious, of course. What kid wouldn't be? But he always said the same thing. A face in the window that vanished when you looked directly at it. Maybe dementia. Maybe he was trying to write a horror novel and never finished. But that night, something changed my mind. A boy standing behind me in the mirror. I spun around, but the room was empty. I looked again. He was closer. I felt this weight on my chest, like something pressing down on me. I turned the light off and backed out of the bathroom, heart pounding. And always that boy, a small child with pale skin and black eyes who only appeared in reflections. At one point, I saw movement through the hallway mirror. The boy was just standing there, staring. His eyes were like pools of ink. The first thing I noticed was the strange markings on the walls. I needed proof, something to convince myself this wasn't just stress or grief messing with my mind. But the trunk was empty. The chains were gone. The symbols on the walls had been smeared, as if someone had tried to erase them with their hands. Symbols carved into the wood with something sharp. Some looked like animals, others like eyes or distorted faces. In the far corner was a trunk, sealed shut with a heavy chain. Every reflective surface in my home feels like a doorway now. I cover mirrors, avoid looking into windows at night, and I haven't touched a phone camera in months. That chain was rusted, but the padlock looked brand new, just like the one on the door. The first page had a new entry written in fresh ink. After he passed away last year, I inherited the cabin. It had been untouched since the funeral. I finally decided to go back last weekend, just to get some closure. As I opened the front door, it felt like stepping into a memory. Everything was just as he'd left it. The same rocking chair, the same ashtray on the porch. Even the radio still worked. The basement door was still locked. That alone was strange. The cabin had been empty for nearly a year, but the lock looked brand new. I felt this chill crawl over me as I picked it open. I wasn't a kid anymore. I had to see what was inside. It took me nearly 20 minutes to pry the lock open. Inside were dozens of notebooks, all in my grandfather's handwriting. Some were dated decades ago. The first page I opened began with a line that made my blood run cold. "Whatever you do, do not speak to the boy in the mirror." I told myself there was nothing to be scared of. The basement was colder than I expected. The air was thick, almost damp. I couldn't help it. I flipped through the rest. Pages and pages of warnings. Descriptions of voices coming from the woods at night. I thought it was just the ramblings of an old man. I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom when I looked up and saw it. The next few hours were a blur. I heard footsteps on the roof, scratching at the windows, and the voice of a child calling me by name. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. At dawn, I went back to the basement to grab the notebooks. I packed up and left the cabin that morning. I haven't been back since, but the boy hasn't left me alone. A few weeks ago, I received a small package in the mail. No return address. Inside was one of my grandfather's notebooks. It said, "You opened the door. He's yours now. Until next time, stay safe. And whatever you do, never look too long into the mirror."